So let's start with that top story this evening on Aubameyang. Kaveh Solokol joins us in the studio. What a remarkable twist this evening. What are the details on this that you have for us?
Well, look, basically, Barcelona are trying to sign a striker at the moment. They don't have very much money because we know what kind of financial problems they've been having recently. They are interested in signing Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang from Arsenal, and they're also willing to offer Philippe Coutinho in part exchange as part of the deal. Now, Aubameyang is the captain of Arsenal. In September last year, he signed a new 3-year contract, which is worth about £350,000 a week. He's one of the highest paid players in the Premier League. And of course, he did not play in the game against Brentford on Friday night. He missed that game due to illness. He is 32 years old at the moment, and you would have to think he has been linked in the past with Barcelona. For instance, before he signed his new contract at Arsenal, there were lots of reports linking him with a move to Barcelona. He's a player they've been interested in for a very, very long time. The only question marks I would put over this deal potentially happening before the window closes is, one, would Arsenal be willing to sell their captain? I'm not at all sure that they would be. And secondly, would they be interested in taking Philippe Coutinho in part exchange? Of course, Philippe Coutinho is a fantastic player. We all know what he did when he was at Anfield, but it's fair to say that his move to Barcelona has not worked out. He moved to Barcelona 3.5 years ago for something like £146 million, and he really has not made the impact that he would have wanted. He's been out on loan at Bayern Munich as well. He's a player that Barcelona want to move on this summer. We know Arsenal want a creative player, but I'm not sure whether they would want to take a risk on somebody like Philippe Coutinho at the moment.
You mentioned the part exchange, but this is the day Barcelona have revealed the extent of their debt. Surely we're all asking how they can actually afford it.
Well, of course, we had this news conference with the Barcelona president this morning. He revealed that the club were £1.1 billion in debt. He blamed it all on the previous regime. He blamed it on the fact that they had squandered the 200 million euros that they'd made from selling Neymar to PSG. It was quite revealing what he said about the state of the club. He said, for instance, he'd found out that they were paying one scout in South America £7 million a year just for scouting work in South America. But he said he has a plan. He had negotiated with the US investment bank to borrow about £500 million. So he is getting the finances of the club in order. Now, I get what you're saying. You're saying, how would they be able to afford Aubameyang's wages? Well, we know that they have very tight restrictions about how much they're allowed to spend on wages at the moment. One of the reasons why they weren't allowed to re-sign Lionel Messi. But you would think that if they were able to get Coutinho off their wage bill, then maybe that way they could make room for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. That is one way it could potentially happen. Look, we do know that Barcelona are looking for a striker, because earlier this evening our colleagues at Sky in Italy reported that Barcelona had been trying to sign Tammy Abraham from Chelsea. Tammy Abraham, of course, yesterday was in Rome to sign for Roma, but according to Sky in Italy, Barcelona wanted to sign him, and the Barcelona manager Ronald Koeman actually phoned Tammy Abraham himself, but he wasn't able to convince Abraham to move to the Nou Camp, and Abraham moved to Roma. So we know they are looking for a striker, and the information we have is that they're also interested in Aubameyang.
Is Alexandre Lacazette's future also part of this equation?
A great question. Look, the issue is that Lacazette now has 1 year left on his contract at Arsenal, and there's no indication that Arsenal are going to offer him a new deal. And there's been lots of talk that Arsenal would be willing to sell him this summer. And now you've got the situation where there are question marks over the future of Lacazette, and there's also question marks over the future of Aubameyang. Speaking to somebody close to the club today, they told me that it would be irresponsible and massive gamble for them to sell their 2 senior strikers. He told me that was not going to happen because they couldn't go into the season relying on young strikers like Nketiah and Balogun and Martinelli. So I'd be very surprised if they sold both their strikers. But there is interest in Aubameyang, and I think they would listen to offers for Lacazette.
Does this all point to issues going on behind the scenes at Arsenal?
Again, look, it's very difficult for me to say what is going on behind the scenes. The football grapevine today has been full of people talking about what is going on at Arsenal. It is to be expected because Arsenal is such a massive club. And when you see the performance and the result against Brentford on Friday night and the manner in which Arsenal lost that game, then it's only to be expected that people are going to ask questions. For instance, earlier this evening, we had Kevin Campbell on Sky Sports News, and he, as a former Arsenal player, was spelling out very, very clearly the problems at the club, both on the pitch and off the pitch. So yes, it's been a very difficult summer for Arsenal. The performance on Friday night was unacceptable, but you would have to say that was a very, very young Arsenal side. I think the average age was only 22. I think Mikel Arteta thought this was going to be an absolutely crucial summer for him. He needed to make lots of changes. There were, I think, 7 key positions in his squad that he felt he needed to strengthen. So far, he spent £72 million on 3 players. There's still more players he needs to sign, midfielder, striker, and players who need to leave the club. So it's going to be a massive 2 weeks for everybody at Arsenal Football Club.
It certainly is. Thank you very much, Kaveh. Well, as Kaveh mentioned, the former Arsenal striker Kevin Campbell feels that there are problems behind the scenes at his old club. And he thinks it could be part of the reason behind the sudden absence of Aubameyang and Lacazette's absence in Friday night's defeat to Brentford.
I'm not sure what's going on, Nick. I'm not too sure, but something is awry. Something isn't right. Right up until the game, they were going to be in the starting lineup virtually, and then all of a sudden, they're out. So if they're ill, let us know why they're ill or what the illness is. But I just think there's some infighting going on at some stage, and Arsenal don't need this because there's some serious work to be done.